Wife that passed away.
Jerry's first wife.
Pauline's going to be the second. Maybe we should move in with Jerry. That's what Scott said. He asked Jerry if he was going to marry Pauline.
I always wanted two sisters.
So I'm going to ask Jerry if he would come over here and say a few words.
Well, can't hear you, Jerry. Paul said quite a few things that were good about him, and it was mostly all good anyway. We used to get in a lot of arguments and stuff like that. But 2 or 3 minutes later, like, there was never any argument after. You know, it was always like that. There was always a few things going on, you know, and then they'd say, well, we got to do this, we got to do that, and we'd get it done. Just the two of us, all the time. We'd figure out a way to do it, and with his knowledge and mine, we'd get it done. All the time.
It was his knowledge of your labor.
There's a few things he got stuck with too. There's one of the big things I really couldn't figure out there. That time we were in '98, and we were in the boat, and I'm in the front, and he's at the back. And I wanted to grab a branch there to pull us close, and the branch broke, and over went the boat. I don't know how to this day how he got on that tree before I did. I must have ran on the boat. I could never figure it out. I was in the water anyway.
Never mind, Jerry. Tell him what you native about going in the bush and you got lost.
Mitch and I and Glen went up to back of what do you call that lake, Marshall?
The forest, wasn't it?
At La Forest, but
You can't hear you, Marshall.
way back. It was going to be an overnighter.
Cooney Lake. Cooney.
It was going to be an overnighter. Well, we were lost going in and we were lost coming out. It's a good thing he had that map. We would walk 50 feet and he'd say, Mitch would say, Glen, take a bearing. Go another 50 feet. Glen, take a bearing. We wanted to make sure we were going out the right way.
Was it dark?
Finally we reached the lake and Mitch had the pack sack on and he just kept on walking. He seen the dock and never stopped.
Nobody knows who Mitch was. This was her husband. He is deceased too.
Those stories could go on and on all day. The good times we had at 109. And first time I ever had a chainsaw in my hand was at 109. Cleared all that beach there. Well, didn't do it in one day, but we started it anyway. But there was some good memories up there too. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sure that Bob has got something nice to say about that one too.
First time I met Glen was, they were building the road here, and him and Mike Haverlock come over to my place and they were looking for a culvert. And I said, yeah, you can have a culvert, because they used to come to Bob's Tire. It wasn't Canadian Tire. Everybody come to my place for this and that. I said, you can have a culvert, but it's going to cost you a case of beer. So they said, fine. So then I wanted to see what was going on, so I come over here and was watching those guys on that road, and I said to myself, I don't know what the hell I'm getting myself into here with these guys. The F's were flying and the trees, and out there I said, boy, that's a bunch of wild animals. So anyway, that was the beginning of the great adventure, I call it. After that, I got to know the captain pretty good. And we had many, many adventures. There was the adventures with my water system that I'd call Glen at any time of the day or the night, he'd be there. My electrical problems, he was always there. My plumbing problems, he had all the answers. And I'm sure there's a lot of you around this lake that have had the same results. Every time you call him, there was no questions asked, and he was there. He was one of the first ones. Never expected anything in return, but he was there. We had a lot of parties, I can tell you some of the parties, and I'm not going to go into them because some of them were pretty wild. We had some really good times. There was many a time that John Royer and Glen and I put away a 40-pounder in an afternoon and thought nothing of it. And then there were the people that I met through Glen at 109, at Cape Real. A lot of them have become very good friends and acquaintances. I see Frankie Mazuka back there, who's turned into be one of my friends. And I see Marshall over here that I met through Glen, and a lot of these guys that we fished and hunted with. 109 was an experience that a lot of you people will just, you can't understand what it was like to go to 109 with those guys. The times we spent up there with the weeks, the snowmobile trips, Armin can attest to some of those. Some of them were disasters, but they were still adventures. We had fun. The stories still go around Cape Real about Armin and myself and Larry Deschamps down the railroad track stopping the main line trains. And Glen coming in at night on the train and knowing all about it because they knew from Vancouver to St. John, Newfoundland that there was these idiots that were on the main line. There were some great times. Well, last Monday Glen started on the final adventure. And I'm going to miss him. Dad, I'm going to miss him. I'll always remember the knock on the door at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. Him walking in and him saying, "Coffee on?" Yeah, the coffee was always on. It was 2 or 3 times a week. And I'll tell you, I sure hope as hell that he's having a good time up there and they keep that coffee on for him. So remember him as a great guy. Thanks.
Took time out of your day, and I know some of you here have been kind of dreading the thoughts of doing this. You know, we've had some reservations about doing some things too. I'm going to open up the floor. Oh, Scott, I'm so glad you said it.
Okay. I think, I'll speak here, I think we really owe a special thanks to Christine and Dennis for what they've done for my mother and my father over the past little while. Every time I call Daddy, he'd say, "Well, don't worry, Dennis will be here, Dennis will do this, and Dennis will do that." So, Dennis, thanks a million, okay?
But was it for her bugs?
Yeah.
And those are the pink ones.
Oh, poor old Christine. You'll be glad when Scott leaves. Scott would sit on the radio. "Christine, we got no violence here." "Okay." "What kind of pies you got over there?" "I haven't got any. I like lemon meringue." Lemon meringue pie.
Oh my God.
You can't imagine what it's like to have neighbors like that.
Yeah.
And I know Dennis is a kind of holds things to his heart, and we'll talk.
He can't marry Mom, he's already
Again,
Come on, you guys, stop bothering me.
Again, I want to open it up. Anybody wants to speak? You're not obliged to. Don't feel you are. But if you want to say something, please go ahead.
Funny story, whatever.
Yeah, little tidbit of information we don't know about.
That's right.
Anyway, thanks, guys.
Yes, thanks very much.
I'd just like to say thank you for all of the food and the sandwiches and the pies, and I want to
And the
thank
booze.
Bucky for the wine.
Oh, yeah.
Because damn, it's good.
You have to say louder, Bucky can't hear you.
Where are you, Bucky? I don't think he's here yet. But thank Bucky for the wine, everybody. Thank you very much.
And a
Very
toast
much.
to Peepa.
And a toast.
All right.
Yes.
Toast to Peepa.
Toast.